There are times, and there was a time in my life where it was very, very easy to believe in the Yankees. It was very easy to have an understanding that the Yankees, based on, success, obviously, that they were going to be able to turn things around, right? After they won a World Series in 96, and I know they failed against Cleveland in 97, but winning a World Series in 98, 99, 2000, even falling to the Diamondbacks in 2001, and then the Marlins in 03, right? The great dynastic New York Yankees with Joe Torre in the dugout, and you can go through it in the core four and who was the most important, Mariano and Jeter and Bernie Williams, and we all know the names because they've all in recent years have had days out at Yankee Stadium to celebrate their brilliance in the Bronx. The Yankees make it really difficult to believe. The Yankees make it really difficult to believe that this team can turn around for a myriad of different reasons. You look at yesterday, right? A game in which Ben Rice hits a 3-run home run. You take a 2-run lead going into the bottom half of the ninth inning, and then all of a sudden you get the misplay by Volpe at shortstop, and obviously the misplay or the error by Volpe, and the misplay defensively in left field, step in instead of the step back by Alex Verdugo. Two really good defensive players. We know that, have an understanding of that, but still, the Yankees end up losing the game to the Baltimore Orioles and have sitting in second place right now in the American League East, a game behind Baltimore. And you say to yourself, well, now the All-Star break, right? And you get a little bit of a break for this Bomber team that they were clawing for that finish line. Well, you want to say, well, they played a little bit better and down in Baltimore, and you saw a little bit of emotion after the hit batter on Friday night, and then you had Judge and Soto going back-to-back, as Sterling would say, in a belly-to-belly on Saturday afternoon in a daylight victory against Baltimore, and the Yankees responded, and finally, in the better part of a month, won a series, right? But it was right there at the Yankees' grasp to finally sweep away Baltimore. And you have that bottom half of the ninth inning yesterday down at Camden Yards, and the Yankees end up losing the game. And you say to yourself, well, at least it's the All-Star break, right? At least they won a series. But you get the same nonsense, whether it be the platitudes from the manager, Aaron Boone. You give Soto credit playing through a hand injury. We understand how great Aaron Judge has been. The lineup obviously is still deficient, and there is a lack of belief by you, the Yankee fan, listening to the sound of my voice on this Monday morning, that this team has everything that they need to be able to turn around. And there are flaws to this team, but the inner kind of belief with this group. The expectations coming into this season was that the Yankees were going to try and win a World Series for the first time since 2009. You had the tirade by Brian Cashman at the GM meetings. They went out there. They got Verdugo. They got Juan Soto. They brought in Marcus Stroman. They even dealt with the injury of Garrett Cole to begin this season. Luis Gil pitched like an absolute, one of the best pitchers, if not the best pitcher in all of Major League Baseball for the better part of the first 2 months of the season. And he looked a lot better in his last start against Baltimore. But we understand that he's going to be handled with kid gloves here in the second half. And the pitching coach and the manager has talked about that on record already, because he has not thrown a ton of innings. But the starting rotation, which at one point in time had a league-leading 2.45 ERA, that starting rotation has shown its warts as of late. We know the injuries, the missing of Giancarlo Stanton, Anthony Rizzo to a certain extent, not necessarily offensively, but a little bit of defensively, and certainly his leadership after he fractured his arm on that freak play running up the first base line. We know the lack of offense that you've gotten from behind home plate. Volpe, after a hot start, has cooled off. Gleyber Torres, always a hot-button topic right here on WFAN about his future, and clearly after getting benched, we've seen a little bit better of a Gleyber Torres for his lack of hustle in the Subway Series out at Citi Field, and rightfully so, but Gleyber Torres looking to get paid following this season. But the reason why there is no belief amongst the Yankee fan base, and it's kind of the woe is me, amazingly enough, kicking that tin can down the street and expecting gloom and doom, is because that has been what the Yankees have been defined by in recent memory. There is not success to lean back on. Now you might say, well, Mark, listen, it's not like the Yankees have bottomed out. They weren't getting 0.0 television ratings like the Houston Astros were. They didn't bottom out like the Baltimore Orioles. I mean, the big banner that's in Brian Cashman's office, not literally, but figuratively, the big banner is that he's never had a losing record as a general manager. But the point being is, this season is very reminiscent, despite some of the names have changed, of the 22 campaign. We've seen this script before. Last year, they went 82-80. They got off to an unbelievable start. To now you're having people talk about whether or not this team deserves to be strengthened. And yesterday was as bad as it gets. Not exactly confidence-inspiring. A game you cannot lose down at Camden Yards. A game in which a rookie has a big 3-run home run to give you the lead going into the bottom half of the ninth inning. And you got Clay Holmes on the mound, a guy that even though, statistically speaking, he's one of the better closers in Major League Baseball. A guy that, if you watched him, doesn't throw enough strikes, doesn't get enough swings and misses, pitches to contact, and not exactly a guy you wholeheartedly trust in a big-time spot. Now, I understand that his defense let him down, Volpe and Verdugo yesterday, but he also made a mess of the situation in the bottom half of the ninth inning as well. And it doesn't exactly give you a positive feel about this group going into the second half. A group that has played 98 games, a group that played their best baseball about 6-7 weeks ago for the first 2 months of the MLB regular season, a group that has had a historic first half by Aaron Judge, a group that has dealt with or has had a brilliant, really, for the better part, ever before the hand injury, obviously, the brilliance of Juan Soto. And now you get a Yankee team that you expect in the second half to be what we have seen as of late. Not one with a, iron jaw, the Yankee team with the glass jaw. Now, will that prevent Brian Cashman from going and doing something at the MLB trade deadline? It will not. It will absolutely not, because he's got no choice. This season for the Yankees is an all-in year. When you do not know what the future holds for Juan Soto, and they are not moving Soto at the MLB trade deadline, they are not going to pair guys off of this team, especially with the money that they charge at Yankee Stadium and the expectations for this team coming into the year. But when you know that you definitively have Soto for this calendar baseball season, and that is it, and then it's the great unknown afterward, and this is an all-in year, after Cashman's tirade at the GM meetings, after the offseason, with the way that this group was put together coming into the year, with how they dealt with the slow start of Aaron Judge, with how well they pitched and played for the better part of the first 2 months of the year, Brian Cashman, the message to him is clear. You've got no other choice but to try and strengthen this team as best as you can, and try and get this team across the finish line. Not only be a playoff team, but there is a difference. Being a playoff team and crossing the fingers and hoping for the best is one thing. Being a playoff team and being a force to be reckoned with is completely different. And I hate this nonsense that you get in today's day and age of Major League Baseball, and you bring up the Rangers and the Diamondbacks and all the things of recent year and recent memory. Well, that doesn't necessarily ring true every single year. And I get regular season success is not necessarily a predictor of what's going to happen during the course of the MLB playoffs. But Brian Cashman and the Yankees have got no other choice. We are at the All-Star break. We're going to get the home run derby. We're going to get the red carpet. You're going to see Soto. You're going to see Judge. You're going to see the All-Stars tomorrow night down in Arlington. It's going to be great. A celebration of the sport of Major League Baseball. But the Yankee fan right now, all they're thinking about is the Rays series next weekend. And not with positive thoughts. And it is incumbent, as Cashman has been here for a long time, has an understanding of what this group is. This is not about building something. This is about winning this year. And he, as a general manager, along with his front office, have got to do everything that they possibly can to drag this team across the finish line. He's got no other choice. Because think about this. What does this team look like should Juan Soto leave in the offseason? Gets $550 million from Steve Cohen. And there is not that call late asking to come back to the Bronx like Judge gave him. What does this Yankee team look like next year? And do you necessarily believe the general manager has the wherewithal and the chutzpah to be able to put together a championship caliber team? The Yankees, the mindset, unfortunately, from when I grew up as a Yankee fan with George Steinbrenner and all of that, was if every single year was about trying to win a World Series. If it wasn't, and listen, is that rational? No, that is not rational. But that's the mindset. You don't win a World Series, the season's a failure. I don't care what you do individually. I don't care how many games you win during the course of the regular season. I don't care if you won the American League East. It is about performing in the postseason, and that is what teams are defined as and players are defined as in this city. Make no bones about it. That's it. It's about winning. The incumbent or the inherent knock on a player is that you're a great regular season performer. That means you couldn't get it done in the clutch. And the Yankees yesterday doesn't exactly give a fan base that leans negative because of the lack of success and watching this team fail in big-time spots. Yesterday is a predictor, potentially, of what this team looks like in the second half. And one thing you can't take is Aaron Boone telling me, well, it's all in front of us. Yes. It's all in front of us. Yes, everything is in front of the Yankees. There's nothing like a Boone presser. I'll tell you that.